Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Stamping with Susie Q. It is June 12th. Excuse me. Got a tickle in my throat. My name is Sue Sanders, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. It is a tourist destination for many people, and so it gets really busy around here in the summertime. So, welcome again to Stamping with Susie Q. I enjoy doing these videos, and I just would really appreciate it if you would like, share, and hit the subscribe button. Be sure to tell me where you're watching from. If you're watching a live, in this case, it's not a live, it is a recorded video. But tell me where you're watching from. I always like to see where I've got people, and I've got people that are in Michigan and Florida, and the state of Missouri. So I'd like to increase my audience. So if you would like, share, and give me thumbs up and give me hearts, then that helps me on YouTube. All right, so these were the two cards that we made last week on our Stamping with Susie Q. And the winner of these two cards is Karen Bond from Jefferson City. So congratulations, Karen, to getting those. Thank you so much for commenting and watching me. As I said, this is a pre-recorded video simply because I am out of town tonight. I will be in Springfield, Missouri until Sunday for my husband's VFW state convention, where I have a information booth for our Blue Star Mothers chapter in Columbia. So this is going to be the card that we're going to start with tonight. Isn't that gorgeous? I am using Basic Beige for my card base. I'm using Pretty Peacock, and then I'm using pieces of the, yes, I had it in my head, and now I have forgotten what the name of it is. Thoughtful Journey DSP paper. This has got some really pretty paper in it that you can make scenes with. All right, and we are going to be using the Everyday Arch dies, and we're going to be using several of them from that set. So we're going to be using the largest one. That's going to cut our card base out. Then we're going to be using the second largest one, and that's going to cut out our two pieces of Pretty Peacock. So that's our second largest die. Then for the front of our card, we're using the third largest die. So there is our third largest die. On the inside, we are going to be using the fourth largest die, and as well as the eighth largest die. So I always count my dies from the largest to the smallest. So this is my eighth largest. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. And those are the dies that we're going to be using tonight. They have fabulous uses. So these are all of the leftover 5 that I did not use tonight. And you could use any of these dies to put this card together if you wanted to, but those are just the dies that I chose to use. This will all be in the description posted below the video so that you all will know. The Everyday Arch dies does come in a bundle, and it is an online exclusive that became available in May. I want to show you how I did the card base. So we'll set those papers aside. So for the card base, you're going to cut a piece of cardstock, and you can use any color that you choose. You are going to cut it at 4 1/4 by 11. So it's going to be the long ways. 4 1/4 by 11. Score it at 5 1/2. Once you get that all scored, then you're going to take your die, and this will work with any one of the dies in the set. You just want to place the flat edge over that crease, over that 5 1/2 inch score line, and then tack it down, and run that through your embossing folder. So simple. All right. Then when that comes out of your die machine, you're going to have something that looks like this. Now, it is kind of difficult sometimes when you first take it out to get it to separate, but if you kind of fold it back and forth, then it'll break apart very easily for you. All right. So let's go ahead and start adhering our layers. So on this piece, you're going to lay down your cardstock, and I am using the Pretty Peacock. And I'm just using my adhesive, my green glue, and I just have it in a precision point bottle. I didn't used to like using glue because I always got too much and I was very messy with it. And then when I got the precision point bottle, it made it much nicer. So I'm going to just line up my bottom edges, or my side edges, I should say. And there's that. Okay. Now we're going to do the inside piece as well. Here is the Pretty Peacock for the inside. And this is the inside piece. And I did it to where it was a lot smaller and it gave me more of a border around it. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere these two pieces together, because then we're going to, real quick, go over to our die machine, our die cutting machine, and I'm going to die cut these two pieces. And I will show you why when I come back. So those two pieces are now adhered. I'm going to take that number 8 die, okay, the one that I cut out basic beige from, and I'm going to cut out a spot on my inside layer. And I want it to be right about there, because I want most of this designer paper down here to show. And you may ask, well, why is she doing that? Well, I will let you know. Give me just 1 second while I get this die cut for us. Chat amongst yourselves. Let me know what you think so far about this card. All right. It used to be where I had my studio that I had most everything right at my fingertips. But when I moved my studio, I can no longer do that because I don't have enough space behind me to have all of my shelves. All right, I'm just going to peel that off very carefully. So now I'm left with a decorative piece, okay? We'll set that aside because that can be used on another card. I just haven't gotten time to design one for using that. So now this is an open spot. My original thought was that I could stamp right inside here, and I could still do that. But I liked it better if this was put back inside there and it looked like a frame. So that's what we're going to do with this. All right. So let's go ahead and start our stamping. Well, we can go ahead and adhere this to the inside. And by cutting that little hole out, it doesn't give me 3 layers of paper on the inside of my card. Or 4 layers, I should say. So we're just going to put this down just like that and let our little dot border show around everything. So there's that. Now we're going to do some stamping here, and I'm making this to say you are simply fantastic on the outside and then happy birthday on the inside. And I am stamping in the In Color Secret C. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is the outside, and it is this piece. And if you notice, this has the right curve on it to stamp, if I can get it on there, to stamp right like this. Okay, now I want to keep my stamping words kind of out of this real dark area, and I tried several different color inks. Well, not several. I tried black, and I didn't like the way it looked, but I did like the Secret C because it is a dark color, but it's not black. All right, so I am going to start this right about here so that F doesn't get too mixed up with the design of the paper. All right, so there we have our front. You are simply fantastic. Set that aside, and we're going to come in now and we're going to stamp Happy Birthday on that inside. And it doesn't matter, or you can put your placement anywhere you want. I kind of made it in the center, but not quite in the center. All right, we're done with the ink. See how simple this card is going together? Now, we're not done because we still have to do our embellishments or our little flowers. But I'm going to go ahead and stick this front piece down. I think I need to fill my glue bottle. It is such a pretty day out today. I'm recording this on Sunday because my week is very, very busy. And I didn't want to take the chance of having to rush to get it done for Thursday night. So I opted to go ahead and get it done. So I'm on top of things. So there is our outside. We'll put this on our inside. But like I said, you could stamp directly inside of that hole. So that would save you a step if you wanted to, but all right, and there is our Happy Birthday on the inside. I like how that turned out. Now let's move on to our little flowers. Those come from the Gallery Blooms die set. And then we're going to do a little bit of fast coloring on them. Because this paper looks really pastel, kind of watercolor, I didn't want to use the paper to cut these out with. So I went ahead and cut them out of white. So I was able to pass them all through twice to get all the pieces that I needed. I just used some scrap pieces of paper for basic white, and then I die cut all of them at one time on 2 different scraps. So I have those all here. And I'm going to bring in another piece of scratch paper so that I can color on it and not mess up my pad that takes away the glare. So for our 2 long leaves, we are going to color those in the Pretty Peacock with the Stampin' Blends. So I am using Pretty Peacock and let's see. I've got Old Olive to do a leaf with, and I have Fresh Freesia, and to make my little dark dots in my little white flowers, I've got Pecan Pie. That's my Wink of Stella. So let's just color these real quick, and I'm just going to take the brush tip of my pen, and I'm just going to kind of start coloring. Okay, and this is the light, because I can always go back over it and make it darker. And this is going to dry a little bit lighter than what it is. So while we're coloring these, tell me what you've done this week. What have you finished? Have you been making cards? And if so, what kind of cards have you made? I'm going to go ahead and just kind of color around my edges so that that white isn't so grab you. And it's not a bad thing to leave a little bit of it white. It's just sometimes on my edges, I kind of want it to be colored. So I'm just kind of coloring that in. I'm going to let that dry. And we're going to color our second one. So watch tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I will have a coffee, chat, and a card video for you to watch and enjoy. Please chime in. And again, like that video, share it with other people. It's where I give you a card sketch and I show you how you put that sketch card together. And then you are given the opportunity to share that card in my Facebook group, Coffee, Chat, and a Card. And it is a private group, so if you're not a member of it yet, just send me a message through Facebook that you would like to be added to it. And then I will be happy to invite you so that you can also post your creations out there. Okay, so there is our 2 leaves. And we're going to let those dry, and then I'm going to make just part of them darker. All right, let's move on now to our other little leaves, because I'm trying to pick up all the colors that are in this background, and Old Olive is one of the colors. So we're going to color this leaf. And you may or may not use both of these, but you've got 2 of them cut if you want to. The only ones that I really cut 2 of or used 2 of was the long leaves and then what I call the Queen Anne's lace, which are the little white tufts. So there is my Old Olive leaf to add in. Then with that said, here's my Queen Anne's lace. And what I did with that was I just took my Old Olive pen, my Stampin' blend, and I just colored the stems of this and not the white flowers at the top, because I wanted it to kind of represent Queen Anne's lace. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add some flecks of that pecan pie to give it some color on those white flowers, those white tufts. Okay, so there's one, because I did use 2 of these. And here is our second one. And you could do this with colored pencils. You could do it with the markers or the blends. You wouldn't even have to color it if you didn't want to. You could just leave it all white. You could even cut it out twice and then piece them together, once out of green and once out of the white, and then just piece those 2 pieces together. And the last piece that we have to color, and that is our little flowers. And again, I'm going to use the Old Olive, and I'm going to just follow down my stems on here, and then we're going to color the flowers in the fresh freesia. And like I said, you could use any colors that you wanted to. I was just kind of trying to pick up the different colors in the paper. So there is our stems. Now let's use our light fresh freesia, and I'm just using the bullet tip. And I'm just kind of going over those little petals. I'm assuming they're petals. That's what I'm calling them. Sometimes I can't tell necessarily what the shape is supposed to be. But I wanted something small, and I didn't really want a definite just flowers. So that's why I chose the gallery blooms to use to build up my little wildflower garden on my paper. I'm going to show you what we're going to do to add a little bit more dimension to some of these. I think the coloring is the longest part, other than trying to decide what paper you want to use, because it's all so pretty. Okay, so there is our little flowers now. All right, so now I'm going to take my little white flowers here, and I'm going to take the brush tip of my pen, and this is the pecan pie, and I'm going to get relatively close to this, and I'm going to just splatter some of that brown onto the white. And I don't know, yeah, I guess you can see that. See how I've just, and I tried to keep it just on the white and not on the green, but if it gets on the green, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You might take your pick tool, it might help me keep them. So I can pick them up. I need to change my putty in it, I think. All right, so I just got really close to it and just did a little bit of flecking. That I might have got a little bit too much, but it wasn't going where I wanted it to. It's going everywhere but. Okay. Oops. Then remember to wipe off your cap so that it doesn't make a mess on you. Okay, so I just wiped that out. Okay, now I'm going to take the dark fresh freesia. No, I think that's the long one I use. Oh, I have the light Highland Heather. That isn't necessarily what I wanted. That's okay. I'm going to set those two apart. Now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to take my brush tip and I'm just going to kind of make some dots. I tried flicking it and then it got all over my green stem. And I didn't necessarily want that. So that's why on this one, I'm just kind of making some dots. And you can go over it a couple of times to make it darker. You could use Gorgeous Grape too. I just didn't want to have to get up to get that. But it just kind of gives it a different look to it. You don't even have to do it. But can you see where it's kind of dark? Maybe you can't on camera. But anyway, that's that. Now we're going to come back to our pretty peacock leaves. And I'm going to make the insides of these a little bit darker. Just to give it some of that defining. And I'm just kind of following the lines of what the leaf already has in it. See, it's got this, it doesn't come apart. All right, so it's got those little vein lines in there. So what do you think so far, girls, of this card? Okay, so we're pretty much done now with our blends. Okay, now we're going to assemble this. And because these are so fine, I can't pop all of them up, but what I did do, after laying these down, I chose where I wanted to put them, and I wanted one taller than the other one, so then I cut one off. So I cut one of these off a little bit so that it wasn't quite as tall. And then I laid down my, what I call Queen Anne's lace. There. Someone has arrived home. And I cut off a little bit of the Queen Anne's lace too, so that it wasn't quite as tall. Right. And I am going to take a moment and shut my phone ringer off so that if somebody tries to call me, it doesn't ring. All right. So there's that. And now I'm going to take my little spare green leaves and I'm going to stick it up there underneath one of those. And this is where my little flowers are going to go, down here at the bottom. Okay. So it just kind of makes a nice little arrangement. Easy peasy. I am going to take a piece of sticky note and I'm going to try to stick all of those together so that I can kind of see how they're going to be placed. So what I did is I have some of the little mini dimensionals, and we're going to use a mini dimensional on the wider parts of these bigger leaves. So I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one there, and that's pretty much going to be hidden. I'm going to try to stick one right up here to where it does not show, but if I see that it shows, then all I will do here is I will take and color it. See how it shows just a tidbit? I'm going to take my blend and I'm going to just color that edge. Just a little bit, just so that it doesn't look out of place. Okay? So that one is going to go here when we get done with that. And we're going to move on to the next one. I know that little leaf is just going to get tucked in underneath there, so I don't need that one. But now let's go ahead and put dimensionals on this one. And we'll put it on this one. And we'll put it at the bottom because this other one is going to be kind of laying to this side here. So we can just kind of take and put a little bit of glue to attach that to that leaf. Okay. Now these are going to be probably glued down all the way. We'll set those aside for a minute and finish building these with the dimensionals. Pop off those backs. And you could very easily just put this all down flat. I just wanted a little bit of dimension to this. So there's one side. I don't know why I didn't use my take your pick tool for this one, but I didn't. Okay, and now this is this side here. So like I said, I popped up only this leaf here. This leaf here, I did not. I can put a little tad of glue on that other leaf so that it doesn't flop around. Okay. Now we're going to take our other flowers that we have, and we're going to see where it will be placed at on here. And I think we're just going to glue this flat down. So I'm going to get my little tweezers here, and we're going to put some glue on what I call, and that is, I really think I need to fill my glue bottle. Okay, just just enough that it's going to stick down. And we're going to put that one right there. So it's just sticking nicely to that back leaf. And we're going to take our other one and we're going to do the same thing to it. Because it doesn't really need to be popped up. Okay, and this one's going to be sitting down here like so. There we go. We're going to take our little leaf here and we're going to cut a little bit of that off so that it just kind of tucks inside or underneath our bigger leaf. We're just going to take and stick this down underneath here like so, to where it's just kind of peeking out from behind there. And our last one is going to be our flowers, our little fresh freesia flowers. And again, we're just going to lay this one flat on top of the rest of those. Oops. As long as it doesn't stick to my finger. Okay, so there is our little wildflowers. And now I'm going to take those lovely embellishments that we have that are the dragonflies and birds. And we're going to add a couple of dragonflies to this one, because I thought the dragonflies would look natural on here. So we're going to put a dragonfly up here in this corner on this one. And we're going to put one kind of over there. And we'll put one right there. Okay. And to follow through for the inside, we're going to put one of those little tiny birds right here on the inside. Okay. So I think what I had to do on this one, yes, this one I had a little bit of oops with my paper. So I put 3 there, but I think 1 looks very nice on the inside, and it is an odd number, so we are done with that card. And this does fit into a regular medium-sized envelope. So let me know what you think about that card, girls. I thought it was pretty easy and simple, and there's so many ideas. If you have not yet purchased the Everyday Art Bundle, I suggest getting it. You definitely want the stamps. There's another stamp set besides this one, and it's for birthdays. And I'm going to be getting that one here shortly. It just makes a different kind of card, and your font and your greeting goes a different way. So there is our first card for tonight. All right, let me kind of get this stuff moved out of the way. And we'll bring in the supplies for the second card. Now, the second card is also cased 1, and I changed up my paper and how I was doing the front of it, but it's from a demonstrator up in Canada, and her name is Heidi Collins. And we had the opportunity to meet her 2 years ago at convention. She is one of Dorothy's favorite demos. So I have a favorite demo, but it's me. No, I'm just kidding. There's so many more demos out there that are much better than I am, but I do enjoy what I do. All right, so for this one, girls, this has a really unique cut to it. So what you have is you have an 8.5 by 3.5 piece of designer series paper. Now, when you are looking at making this card, you want to make sure that your paper is going the right direction. So for this card, it's going to actually be like this, okay? We're going to cut it, but this is going to be showing this way. So you want to make sure that you cut your paper the right direction. And then you're going to score it at 4 inches and 8 inches. Or to make it simpler, you can score it at a 1/2 inch like this. Whoops. And then at 4 inches. So then that leaves you with this. All right. Now what you're going to do, and this is why I didn't do it yet, this is why I've got it to show you, is you want to take where that score line is for that little 1/2 inch fold. You want to put that directly into your trimmer guide. And you want to take the top of your paper up here, and you want to put it at about 1 1/4 inches on that 1 1/4 inch line. It does not have to be exact, okay? As long as you've got this part right there in the track, and you want to cut that off. So you're going to be cutting a small angle off, all right? And if you go over a little bit, that's okay too. It's not going to matter, all right? So then you have this angle that you can make another card with. You can cut that off and have it for a scrappy card. So now what that leaves you with is a piece that looks like this. All right. Get my trimmer out of the way here so that I don't break it again. And I'll bring in the rest of my pieces of paper. So we've got this, and this is what I have referred to on my instructions as the DSP. That's the base, because this is going to be like a base of our card when we get it to put together. All right. Then you're going to need to have a piece of designer series paper that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And that's going to be placed on the back side of our card. You have 3 pieces of white. That is going to be our stamping, what we're going to stamp on. We have 3 mats, and in this case, this is crushed curry. And these are 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. So 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. You need 3 of those. And then you need to have 3 of the basic white that you're going to stamp on. And these measure 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. Your card base is just going to be a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. 4 1/2 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then you're going to have 2 more pieces of patterned paper, and these are referred to as the layers. And these measure 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and you need 2 of those. Okay, so I'll show you how we're going to use those. So while it seems like it's a lot of paper, it really isn't. All right, so the first step that we're going to do, we're going to take this and we're going to fold over at that 4 inch mark and then fold back that 1/2 inch. And we're going to give these a good burnish, but don't do it too hard because you don't want to rip your paper. Okay, we're going to take this piece now, and I've opted to use the little polka dot, black polka dots, and you are going to put that right there on that 1/2 inch strip. Okay, so what it's going to look like is this. Now, one thing that I might mention is when you're looking at cutting your paper, you want to make sure that you've got the correct paper that you want showing on top. So I cut it with this showing because I wanted this to have just a little bit showing. I didn't want that to be my focal, but you definitely could, okay? But you want to make sure that you've got that going the right direction. So kind of play with it a little bit. Use some discontinued paper before you start one. I did, and I will show you that one and how it turned out. All right, so this is the way you're going to put this together. So we're going to lay this down, and we're going to glue this put a strip of glue right here on that 1/2 inch mark. Okay, and we're going to put this piece then right there and kind of fold it over to make sure that it is all lined up and it's even. If it's not, you can trim it off a little bit if it bothers you, okay? Sometimes it just doesn't get, that's why I suggest using the glue so that you can maybe move it around and shift it around a little bit, okay? That looks pretty good to me, so that's how we're going to leave that. Now we're going to take and attach this piece to our 1/4 inch card base. And again, I'm just using my liquid glue to do this. This is such pretty paper. I haven't done much with this because this is what we're going to be using in my class the end of June. But it is really pretty, and I thought it would look so pretty with this kind of card because I needed to have some that was print and some that was just kind of neutral, like the black and white. All right, so we have that. We're going to set that aside for a minute. We're going to start with these 3 now. And for this card, I am making it a thank you card. So I have to find my thanks. Where did I put my thanks? Oh, there it is. And I'm going to be using, oh, let's see. Pull, but we're going to use the Secret Sea again. I love this color, and it's close enough to black that it kind of looks like black. So we're going to stamp our thanks on our front piece. So we're going to just type thanks up here at the top, maybe close to over here on the right-hand side. So there's our thanks. This little flower is from the Lifetime of Love, and I thought that it would look really good down here as our focal point. So I'm going to stamp this twice, and then we're going to kind of color it in. All right. So I'm going to stamp it in Memento Black, and we're going to color it in with our Stampin' Right markers. Okay, so we're going to stamp one over here on this side and kind of go off on the edge a little bit. And then we're going to stamp another one kind of here in the center. So there is our focal points. Quickly color these in, and I am using Garden Green and Lemon Lolly. And I may have to use my pecan pie for my centers. So I'm just going to take, color in my petals real quick. And I'm not going to worry about if I have a little bit of white showing. That's okay. You could do this with colored pencils. You can do it with your blends, whatever you like to color with. I just thought I would use the Stampin' Right markers today for this. And it just kind of pulls it all together with the flowers that I have showing on my designer paper, keeping them yellow. So I'm really intent here on coloring, so sometimes if I try to color and talk at the same time, I mess up. We're gonna get this done. And I really do hope that you all liked the cards tonight. So let me know in the comments what you think. Oops, that's a leaf. I don't want to color that yellow. We're going to bring in some of our birds and dragonflies on this one too. Got a couple more examples for this one to show you. I thought that perhaps I'd better get my anniversary card made while I was thinking about it, because that's going to be coming up here towards the end of the month when I'm really busy with our class. So I do still have spots available if anybody is interested in attending. If you want information on it, just leave me a comment and just put June 27th class info, and I will send you that information. All right, we're going to come in with our green, and we're going to do our leaves. And I'm just kind of brushing the ink on there because I don't want to color them in to cover up all of those detailed lines that we have. I'm just going to kind of color those green because those are flowers that have not bloomed all the way yet. So very easy coloring, not anything too difficult with this. Okay, so there's that. What we are going to do now, I'm going to take, because it's just handy here, my light pecan, and I'm going to just do the centers just in the white area and leave that black. So that are those. Okay, so that is one piece that is done. That's going to get attached to that. And then on the inside one, we're going to stamp with the Secret C again. So very much, I have to sometimes stop and read what the scripty font says. And because this is wider than my card, I'm going to just put it on an angle like so. Thanks so very much. And now, because I want to add some color to the inside of this, we're going to keep it with the yellow, but I'm only going to stamp one for the center. So here is my flower in the center. Didn't really get those grounded, but we're going to fix that. I think what I'm going to do with my green here is I'm just going to kind of ground with a little bit of green as grass. So I just took and brushed some green so that it just looks like it's grounded and it's not just floating out there in thin air. Okay, we got the green out. We may as well go ahead and do our leaves. Pretty simple, girls. All right, come back in with our yellow. Once I get it all done, you'll see that I haven't colored it all in, so there is some white showing through, and that is perfectly okay. It kind of gives you that shadowing effect without doing much work. And after all, we like simple and easy. But you can color it however you desire. Okay, come back in with my pecan pie. Just do those centers there. All right, and that, oh, see, I got something on there. Fingers. I always do. Something's on my fingers. I'm going to get my little eraser here to see if I can get that erased off of there. And get it to go lighter. All right, so that is that. Now let's go ahead and attach these to their layers. And you have just 1/8 of an inch for your border, which just makes it really, really pretty. Just gives it just a little teeny tiny frame. See if we can scoot that over a little bit. No, and we're not going to try to bring it up because it's liable to mess up on us. Never can seem to get it even on my bottom right corner. There we go. All right. This one we're going to leave blank because this is going to give you a little spot to write your own little personal note. Almost dropped it. Good catch. This one is just going to go right straight down on that. Okay. All right. Now comes the fun part. We're going to assemble these. This is our inside, or that's our outside inside. All right, so now we've got these two pieces, and these are part of the same paper pack, and I am using the green leaves. Okay, so when it gets finished, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to attach just the bottom of this piece, and we open up our card. So that flap, this flap here is over here on my right side. And then we're going to attach this, kind of centering it, getting it even, like so. Then we're going to open up our flap. We're going to take this piece and we're going to attach it down just like this. So it's going to go over this whole thing. And I am using the liquid glue, so hopefully I can shift it around if I need to. And I found last night when I was doing this that if I laid it this way and I laid my top down and looked on my sides to make sure that it was even, and then I kind of lifted it up and I can see that it was just a little bit slightly off. So we're going to shift that, shift it again, come on, shift it up. You don't want to use a ton of glue because then if you do have to lift it, you're not going to rip your paper. So don't use a ton of glue, but that's why I say use the glue. It doesn't dry real fast. And I may be messing this up trying to get it fixed. We may just end up trimming. Because now I got glue all over my hands. Okay, we're just going to trim it off so that you don't necessarily see that excess. And really you don't see much of it, but I see enough of it that it bothers me. So we're just going to take and trim off that 1/16 of an inch. There we go, just like so. So now this is what you are left with. So we're going to put our thanks on the front. And we're only going to glue the bottom piece, or the bottom portion of it. So I just kind of judge where I need to glue it. About halfway. Center that with that back layer, like so. Open this up, and I am going to lay this part down, like so. And this is going to get attached completely. Okay. Trying very hard to keep it placed. It doesn't have to line up perfectly, but then I just folded my card over, picked it up, and got it laid down. Okay, and then this one is going to be down just like this. And that's where you're going to get to write your own personal note at. This one slipped on me. Come on and lift up. There. I just kind of put it right there towards the very bottom of that so that you can still see that. Okay, so that is the way your card stands up then. Okay, pretty, isn't it? All right, let's bring back our embellishments, our birds. We're going to use some birds. Looked at that and thought maybe I'd put it upside down. My goodness. So we're going to put a bird up here. Not that cockeyed. We're going to put a bird over here. Let's put one of our dragonflies right there. We'll add another dragonfly or a bird. Let's just put another bird over on this side. Kind of fill in some of that white space. And we'll do another dragonfly down here. So when you look at it, you still have the odd number of embellishments, which is 5. What do you think, ladies? Let me know in the comments. All right, so that is card number 2. This was card number 1. So I hope you enjoyed these cards tonight. Like I said, this is a recorded video live. I may have a chance to pop in and chat with you all on Thursday night. I'm hoping anyway. All right, watch for a recorded video on Friday, the 13th, for coffee chat and a card. And I will have a video for you posted out there at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Until next week, ladies, when I will be back live with you all have a fabulous weekend. Be safe. Bye.